Edinburgh is a city I've always enjoyed. My two favourite being York, that I mentioned last week, and Edinburgh today. One of the key things for me is that Edinburgh, being a capital city, is still very much a place that's manageable to walk around. Everything seems to be fairly well self-contained, while it is a major city and obviously capital of Scotland. Most of us, if we've been there, tend to go for the usual tourist spots, particularly going up to the castle at the top and then walking down the Royal Mile. When you come towards the end of it, you will see the new Parliament buildings, a very modern take on the outside, perhaps looking somewhat unusual from the traditional image of a Parliament. But there we have the government now in a local sense within Scotland. As I walk down towards it, on the railings which surround the building, there are a number of plaques. And on them they have recorded, perhaps it's by a famous Scottish writer or poet, or some words that are particularly meaningful to the Scots. Here's one. It's a photograph I took a couple of years ago, and it shows the plaque on the railing just outside the Parliament building. Hope you can see it. I'll read it as you look at it. This is my country, the land that begat me. These windy spaces are surely my own. And those who work here in the sweat of their faces are flesh of my flesh and bone of my bones. And those few lines tend to express someone's very close identity with Scotland and how it's almost part of them, and the people and all the variety have that connection with them. When we look to this island of Ireland, from whichever part we're in, and perhaps using or claiming different identities, whether British or Irish or European, there's still something about the land which holds us. Somewhere perhaps like a townland or a locality, our family have perhaps been there and we identify with it and with those who live and work there, and in a sense, just as was said in Scotland, the people become flesh and bone of ourselves. You notice when folks have left the island, north or south, and they've gone across, particularly to America, there's the nostalgia, of course, but yet there's that link with the homeland. And the phrase comes, the old sod, the sod being the piece of ground, the sense that there's always a welcome back there because our identity, our roots lie deep. As was said of that line in Scotland, these windy spaces here are surely our own. It's the land that begat us. I can't remember whether it was Parkinson or another interviewer interviewing Richard Burton, the famous film star. And they entered into a conversation about Richard Burton's background and his love of his homeland in Wales and the deep connection he had there. And Burton, in conversation, quoted some lines from James Joyce, the famous Irish writer. And it typified how he felt about his homeland. And his reply was, in the words of Joyce, everyone is searching for a place to belong to. And there's a deep truth in that. We all want to know where our connection lies. We want to belong to somewhere. It gives us, as it were, a meaning in life. And there's something admirable in a way about that, where we have an interconnection with others. We feel part of a community, and there is that longing to be there, particularly when you leave home and you look back. Now, the Bible talks about that concept. It tells us of another identity, another country, a different kingdom that transcends all our human links, admirable though they may be. And the New Testament in Philippians 3 sums it up, that when we come to believe in Jesus, Paul writes, our citizenship is in heaven. Our longing to be there is because God made us with that desire. He made us in his image. Our understanding of something beyond us points to heaven. And of course, Jesus Christ himself, because he died and he rose again. He said to his own disciples, look, I go to prepare a place for you if you believe in me. So today, we might have a longing for our country, but in believing into Jesus, that's transcended into another home place. And that becomes the real place to which we can belong.